Most hiring managers think the biggest mistake is bringing on someone without enough skills. Wrong. The real hiring mistake is ignoring purpose and fit. Because when you hire someone who doesn't believe in why you exist or doesn't align with how your team works, it doesn't even matter how talented they are. They're going to drain your culture, they're going to churn faster, and it's going to cost you more as a business owner. So in this episode, I'm going to show you how to hire beyond resumes so you build a team that's not just capable, but they are committed. So let's dive in. Hey everyone, welcome to the Leaders Leading Leaders podcast. I'm your host, John Espinosa. I help business owners hire and retain top talent. And we do that through building high-performance teams. And one of the ways that we create high-performance teams, we got to hire smarter. So today we're going to talk about the number one hiring mistake and why people look to skills, but really you should be looking for fit. So let's dive into the content today. Why skills matter. And the reason why skills matter is they gotta be qualified, right? You have a certain competency, a certain level of you got to be able to do these certain things in order to perform a job within your organization. I get it. And a lot of times, what happens? We put out a job posting and it lists all those skills that you need in somebody to come and work for your company. But in actuality, that's just scratching the surface. That's just going to get you to the table, get your foot in the door. What we're going to look for and talk about in this section is purpose. Purpose is going to be that multiplier. It's like you're putting an ante in. You're not pushing all the chips forward just yet. You're just anteing up. You're getting your cards, if I were playing blackjack or if I were playing some type of card game. And I'm looking at my cards. Those are my candidates. Those are the resumes. What do I have? And you are making a bet. You're making a bet. And if you're only going on skills, if you're only going to bet the ante, then guess what? You're going to lose that ante. That's all you can lose. But it's going to create an environment where probably people are going to leave in a very short amount of time. And we have some research that I'm going to cite here in a little bit. But I want to get to the fact that, I have seen employees great on paper. I've reviewed resumes. I've been on that side of the package where all I'm doing is selecting people who are going to be interviewed. I get it. That is your first really way to get your foot in the door. And so I find that high-skilled people, yeah, you want to talk to them. But if they are a low fit for your organization, it's going to degrade your culture. They're going to turn over. It's just a matter of time. And I wrote one down here. I've heard people, like very brilliant-minded individuals, walk in the door, blow you away, as far as interview, got a great resume, but they're jerks. They just don't fit into the culture. They don't want to take feedback. They're condescending. And it's not everybody that's like that have high skill, but it's important for us as the business owner to make the right hire. Not making the right hire is going to cost you 1.5 times that person's salary. And that's something that I, as a business owner, I can't afford. So what are we going to do? Well, cultural misalignment. When you bring somebody into your organization, people cite that as the number one reason that they will leave in 1 year. And this is a Gallup study. You can Google it up. But Gallup, they're out there asking the questions. And so as business owners, it's our responsibility to listen. And when we talk about cultural misalignment, what I want you to do in the application here, because this, again, I get into the weeds and the tactical things that you need to do as a business owner. So get out your pen and pencil, write this stuff down. If you're out, working out, on your run, riding your bike, whatever you're doing, driving, guess what? Sign up in the show notes to get the weekly recap, and these practical applications will be in here. But for this one, I want you to do an audit. I want you to look back at your last 5 hires, and I want you to pick out, okay, 1, are they still with your organization? 2, I want you to ask yourself, are they adding value? And I wrote down here, which have thrived in the organization, on your team, within your business. And then I want you to take a hard look, and I want you to see which ones have flamed out. And what about them when you saw them? Because we don't mean to hire bad people. It's not like we're walking around hiring seat fillers. But in the end, something attracted us to them. So what was that? Identify those things from your top 5 hires, and that is going to allow you to at least get a look into what skills did they have, and then why did that not translate, or why did it translate into an employee that's thriving or an employee that just flamed out? So that's the first topic. But skill alone is not enough for a hire. So what is? Purpose. Everyone, a quick break in the episode today. Are you struggling to find and keep the right employees? You're not alone. High turnover drains time, money, and morale, leaving us frustrated, overwhelmed, and feeling like we have to settle for less. I understand how tough hiring can be because I've lived it. And with over 21 years of building high-performance teams, I know how to turn hiring challenges into lasting employee success. Through my proven lead framework, we're going to analyze your processes, design a personalized strategy, and implement solutions that create confident and long-term results. Don't let turnover hold you back. Choosing this program is that first step towards a thriving workplace. Enroll today at thejohnespinosa.com and build the team you deserve. Imagine a team that works seamlessly together, or keep facing the same costly cycle of turnover. The choice is yours. Now back to our episode. Purpose is the fuel for engagement. And in this next topic, we're going to talk about why purpose needs to be an anchor when you are hiring. One of the things that I ask when I work with businesses, what does your job postings look like? What are you putting out there? What are your announcements? Where are they going? But really, what's the words that you are putting in them? And a lot of times I find they're a list of skills. And like we talked about earlier, if you are only hiring for skills and you don't explain the purpose, why they need to become part of your team, people begin just to check the boxes. When they see that purpose statement, it weeds out a lot of those individuals that are going to waste your time. People are like, well, I need more candidates. Do you need more candidates that are not going to be the fit, that you're going to have to spend time, or somebody's going to have to spend time within your organization reviewing the resumes, calling them back, scheduling an interview, checking their resumes, whatever your hiring process looks like, that involves time. So if you're going to put out a generic job announcement with just a list of skills, go ahead. But if you're going to put out a job announcement that has a purpose behind it, and I wrote down here, candidates want to know why your company exists. Tell them a little bit about the company and how their role within your company, how they're going to contribute. This is going to allow somebody, one, to prepare for a job, resume, interview, whatever that looks like. And then 2, it's going to weed out all those people that are like, yeah, I don't think I can work there. I'm not the right fit. The other thing that I wrote down, purpose attracts those long-term players. And when we have meaning, when somebody has a purpose or a meaning tied to their job, it's going to outweigh a paycheck and money in most cases. Not in all cases, in most cases. There was a study I was reading, I think it was Gallup or it was maybe Harvard Business Review, but they were talking about this, the next generation, Generation Z, and the fact that their employment really, as far as tenure, is 1 to right under about 2.5 years. Could it be because they want to do something new every 2.5 years? Yeah, maybe. But I find that not the case in the organizations that I've worked for. I find that if you allow them to understand the meaning and the purpose, and can tie their performance in, and they can see a long-term vision, a long-term existence with your company, they are going to stay. So I don't care what generation it is. I've seen opposite. I've seen research or experienced companies that keep their employees by allowing them to understand how they fit. Your story matters more than any job posting. Why you started the business, why you joined the team, why you decided to take a leadership role or become the boss. That's important for people to hear. They can connect to that. And you're going to tell very quickly whether they see a connection or they're a little bit hesitant to jump in. So what do I want you to do here? The application for this one is I want you to look at your job postings. Pull out those job postings, dust them off. A lot of times people put them out there on a job posting site and they don't do anything with them. They're just out there. They've been out there. They're continuous. Don't run a continuous job posting unless you have that much turnover, which we'll talk about that later on this season. But a continuous job posting is just saying, hey, I'm willing to take anybody and everybody. Put a deadline. That's the other big thing on your job postings. There are certain things within your job posting that you need to identify. So here, rewrite one and then include 2 sentences on your mission and make sure that those job postings are time bound. So, one thing that I tell myself is we got purpose in place, but there's one more layer. There's one more layer that a lot of business owners miss out on, and it's fit. Fit will keep those high performers, those top talent employees in the room. Remember back to my analogy, my gambling analogy. You got skills, that's your ante, that just gets you in the door, right? And then we're going to figure out the purpose. So that's when you're looking at your cards, you're evaluating your applicants or your candidates. Now what we're going to talk about is the fit, how we bring them into the organization or how we test that are they going to really be an asset, not just to the organization, but to the culture of the organization. So here, hire for fit without becoming exclusive, because we don't, want to also create to where we don't get any job applicants, but we want to make sure as business owners that we're getting the right people applying to those jobs. So what does fit equal? I always say, well, John, what is fit? Think of like healthy fitness. So when we talk about getting fit, what does that look like in the health world? Well, it looks like doing the right things, being consistent, being in alignment with your goals. That's no different than what you are as a hiring manager, as a business owner going to look for. So the very first thing, fit is alignment with the values of the organization. That's why it's important for you to put that mission, just 2 sentences around the mission of your organization, because a lot of times you're going to ask a question on that. I always ask a question about, okay, why do you want to work for us? What made you excited about the job posting? What stuck out to you whenever you were looking, or what made you decide to apply for our position over other positions? If you're in an industry where you got a lot of folks out there, you got a lot of competition out there, that's one, that's going to allow you to hear some feedback about what you could do better on your job postings. 2, it's going to test for that alignment with those values. The second thing, communication style. How do they communicate? What is your communication style? I would ask that question for yourself first, and then how is that individual able to communicate in that style? Are they able to form sentences? Are they able to tell stories? Are they able to answer questions in a logical way where you can follow them? A lot of that has to do with if they're not able to speak well, they're not going to be able probably to write well if that's going to be their job. If it's a customer service based industry, or it's a marketing, or they're going to have to get out and talk to people, run them through a sample exercise, figure out what they know about sales. So communication style. And then the other thing that we talk about fit is really team culture. Team culture, how are they going to fit within the team culture? I used to hire for skills alone. I used to want the brightest person that I could possibly get. Now, fit trumps talent. 100 out of 100 times. I will take somebody who I know can fit within the team, in the organization, that might not be as talented as some of the other applicants, but they learn faster, the team accepts them faster, and they onboard faster. And I didn't say faster 3 times because it happens. Try it on. So things here. A lot of times I wrote down, and this is one that when I use the word fit, people are like, okay, that's the same thing as, are they comfortable? Are they comfortable in the interview? Are they comfortable doing what we've asked them to do? Don't confuse fit with comfort, right? True fit is about shared expectations and shared behaviors. So here the application is add behavioral interview questions to your interview process. And you can do, I don't know how many interviews that you do. I've seen some organizations do 2 to 3 interviews. I've seen some organizations just do 1 big interview. A lot of times, though, you can do this by integrating a behavioral question to identify fit. Now, what's a behavioral question? You're going to present a scenario or ask them for a story. Tell me about a time when maybe you contrast something, right? You had to get something out the door, or you were faced with speed and quality issue. Which one took priority? Which one took precedence? Even within a job, you can present a current scenario or a current challenge that you're going through. We have a communication challenge within the organization. We're sending out a lot of emails. We're sending out a lot of, newsletters, but people are still not receiving the message. Walk me through how you would solve that problem or that challenge. So it's a behavioral question to where they're having to think, they're having to pull back on their experience. And if they don't have that experience, then how can they relate? Because that's how we're going to onboard them and we're going to train them. As human beings, we relate back to previous experiences, things that we know. We figure out how we're going to do them in the future. So allow yourself during that interviewing time, especially during these behavioral questions, to figure out if that person is the right fit. Okay. So that's your application for that last one. One thing, and I hope that if you've stayed till the end, I hope that this content is valuable to you. You would do me a huge favor, share this thing out. Click on that subscribe button. It means a lot. It allows us to grow this channel. And it really is feedback for me. Am I giving you what you need to be successful? So let's recap here. The first topic we talked about is why skills alone do not equal success. Skills are that ante. They're just going to get you a seat at the table. Then we discussed why purpose needs to be the anchoring for your hiring. So include those purpose statements in there. Tell them a little bit about the business, what it means to you, what it means to the team. And then last, hire for fit without becoming exclusive. So those behavioral questions are going to give you some insight, allow you to look into that person, whether they're going to fit within the organization, both culturally and be aligned with your values. So by combining purpose with fit, you're going to get rid of those seat fillers. You're going to start creating culture builders. In your team, they're not just going to work for you, they're going to begin to work with you. I believe in you. Go be great. See you on the next episode.